This video is brought to you by Squarespace, the service that allows you to build an amazing website that you can have. It's yours. That's how it works. Okay, on with the video. Doctor Strange, like all Marvel movies, is jam-packed with Easter eggs, references, and cameos relating to the Marvel Cinematic Universe and various comic book materials. So we're gonna get stuck into spells and magical items ripped straight out of the books, characters both villainous and not, locations, what the post-credits sequences mean for the future of Marvel, as well as what we might be getting in the inevitable Doctor Strange follow-up. Also, as always, we'll be giving away a loot crate. Believe it. But that happens at the end. You know what? You can skip to it if you want. Here's the time code. I don't care. Okay, let's start with the magical items and spells. Namely the ones Doctor Strange uses. Pretty much everything seen and done is a reference of some sort to the comics. Sling rings exist to open portals to different locations on Earth, as well as into other planes of existence, like the mirror dimension. The cloak of levitation allows levitation. It's said to be semi-sentient in the comics, though this incarnation seems fully self-aware. We get some clues as to its powers, such as blocking magical and non-magical attacks, but it's also said to be able to mimic the look of everyday clothing, but we didn't see that at all. It just looked like a cloak 100% of the time. The Eye of Agamotto Strange wears is capable of fracturing and altering time. It's also revealed to be an Infinity Stone, but we'll talk more on those and what they mean for the future in a bit. It's never mentioned by name, but his main form of offense looks to be the Flaming Whip, and this defensive measure are referred to as Mandalas of Light. This looks to be a variation on the Vishanti Shield of Personal Defenses, or the Mystic Shield, or the Seraphimic Shield, or the Unscalable Shield of Seraphim, or the Bright Shield of Seraphim, or the Great Shield of Seraphim, or the Grim Shield of Seraphim, or the Many Shield of Seraphim. He has a lot of shield spells. The thing is though, this movie only scratched the surface of Doctor Strange's comic book abilities. We'll definitely see a ton more in follow-up films. Wong is seen to be holding the Wand of Watum that can be used to gather, multiply, and enhance mystical energies. The Book of Cagliostro is used by both Strange and Caecilius, and it's a collection of ancient and mystical knowledges stemming from an 18th century Italian sorcerer of the same name. Other writings referenced or seen include the Book of the Invisible Sun, Astromia Nova, Codex Imperium, Key of Solomon, and the Vedic Sanskrit, which all probably do amazing things, but who cares? This video is going to be long enough already. Caecilius' followers use the daggers of Davaroth, seen as physical blades, unlike the comics in which that's a magical spell. I didn't actually catch it in the film, but the Dark Scepter appears in the Doctor Strange prequel comic and is definitely located in the New York Sanctum Sanctorum. Dark Force was apparently to appear in the film, and we have seen that in other Marvel properties like Agent Carter, but it's never mentioned by name. Presumably, it's the energy drawn from the Dark Dimension, such as what's being used to keep the Ancient One not so ancient. In the various Sanctorums, there's a stack of magical items, including what looks like the Black Knight's helmet. The Staff of One is seen. Mordo is in possession of the vaulting boots of Valtor, named after a Marvel deity, as well as the Staff of Living Tribunal, which isn't really a thing in the comics, but the Living Tribunal is. He's the physical embodiment of the multiverse and acts to safeguard it with powers beyond that of pretty much every character that's ever existed in the Marvel Universe, even though he was once found dead on the moon. Go figure. But we can segue this nicely, so smoothly that you'd be hard-pressed to notice, into minor and major characters that make appearances. The Staff of One is wielded by Tina Minoru. There's a good chance that her daughter, Nico, will appear in the Runaways TV series that's coming to Hulu. Daniel Drum is the master of the New York Sanctum who is murdered. He's the brother of Jericho Drum, who goes on to become the supernatural superhero Brother Voodoo. The old one-handed man who Strange mistakes for the Ancient One bears a striking resemblance to the comic book version of the Ancient One, who's a Tibetan elder. That character is actually Master Hamir, or Hamir the Hermit. He acts as a kind of assistant or servant to the Ancient One. He's also, funnily enough, the father of Wong. However, it's unclear whether the movie versions of these characters share the same relationship. Christine Palmer, as played by Rachel McAdams, in the comics becomes the third night nurse. Kevin Feige has stated something along the lines of, she won't be filling that role as of yet. This is possibly because Juno Temple has adopted that position in the Marvel Netflix universe. That's not to say we won't see that down the line. Her colleague also is Nicholas West, who has appeared in comic book form. It's been speculated that Dormammu turned Caecilius and his followers into mindless ones when he took them into the Dark Dimension, but I'm not sure whether that actually is the case. And Stephen Strange gets floated a couple of patients of note right before his accident. One is a 35-year-old colonel with a crushed lower spine from some kind of experimental armor. It's thought that it could be this guy from Iron Man 2, but realistically, he was probably twisted in half and is dead. Plus, and I might be wrong, I thought I saw the Avengers Tower at the beginning of this movie, placing the opening act well after the events of that film, at least 2012. It's thought that it might be Rhodey, but the filmmakers have come out and said that it's supposedly not him. I mean, it would make sense if it was. Colonel, back injury, experimental armor, That being said, Rhodey ain't 35, he's like closer to 50. The other patient mentioned is a 22-year-old woman with schizophrenia who has an electronic implant in her brain who was struck by lightning. It's a lot of stuff going on at once. There doesn't seem to be anyone in the comics that matches that exact description. Thought maybe the new origin of Captain Marvel? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe you do. You probably don't, but that's okay. Dormammu makes an appearance as a giant face. Interestingly, the voice actor is not credited, but the face is that of Benedict Cumberbatch. That was done because it was thought Dormammu would have no use for physical form in his dimension, and he replicates the look of Strange in order to communicate. We also see Stan Lee riding on a bus, reading the Doors of Perception, a piece of writing that explores the effect of mescaline, a powerful psychedelic. Locations. Okay, we get the Kamar-Taj, which is a training ground for magical warriors. We get 3 Sanctum Sanctorums in London, Hong Kong, as well as Strange's traditional home in Bleecker Street, New York, with its most notable feature, the Seal of Vishanti, visible. The multiverse is also introduced, a potentially unlimited series of parallel dimensions that house what-if versions of different characters from the comics. This can basically open up the world to any number of alternate and weird realities, including Marvel Zombies, Marvel 2099, Ultimate Marvel, and so on. Maybe we'll even get Old Man Logan, but with Steve Rogers, like some people have been recommending, because Disney own most of those important characters that appear in that story, and you can just swap out Captain America for Wolverine. And by some people, I mean just me. Because he could ride a giant dinosaur like he does in that weird version of Planet Hulk. That'd be amazing! I'd love it! Okay, let's talk about some of the Marvel comics this draws inspiration from. The main ones of note are his origin story, which pretty much matches up with what we saw. Arrogant surgeon, smashed hands in a car accident. Actually, in some versions, I think he's drunk. Not here though, he's texting and driving. A horrendous accident that, you know, some of the kids can relate to. We also get his astral form, watching over his own surgery, which appears to be taken directly from The Oath. The Oath's great also. If you haven't read The Oath, you should bloody read it. Get into it. The Wi-Fi password Shambhala could come from the comic Into Shambhala. And of course, all the interdimensional visuals are very reminiscent of Steve Ditko's art, acting as a really great live-action representation. But let's look to the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. At this point, we've seen the Time Stone, Space Stone, Mind Stone, Reality Stone, and Power Stone, with only the Soul Stone left to show up before or during Avengers Infinity War. James Gunn has stated that we won't be seeing any of them in Guardians 2.
What?
And I'd say it's fairly unlikely that it'll appear in Spider-Man Homecoming, so Thor Ragnarok is the most likely candidate. Which of course brings us to the mid-credits scene that was actually directed by Taika Waititi and leads directly into his film, Thor Ragnarok. Loki and Thor are looking for Odin because presumably Loki cast him down to Earth as he sits on the throne of Asgard, and he's some kind of crazed homeless man, potentially unaware of his full backstory. I'm presuming they need Odin to stop all the Ragnaroking that's gonna happen. Look, I'm not 100% sure on what direction the story will take. We haven't seen that much of it, but it looks to be a combination of Ragnarok, the Lost Gods storyline, and Planet Hulk. Also, Strange is wearing gloves whilst he gets Thor drunk, which he traditionally does. Not the getting Thor drunk, the gloves thing. Though, you know, realistically, he's probably done both. In the final post-credits scene, Mordo appears to be traveling the world, taking out sorcerers because there's too many sorcerers. But hey, idiot, you're also a sorcerer. This reflects his fall from grace in the comics, but there's also an added layer of motivation here, which I liked, as opposed to him just wanting to be real good at evil magic. He'll no doubt play a major role in the sequel. As for when we'll see Doctor Strange next, he'll definitely be showing up in Avengers Infinity War, along with Benedict Wong's Wong, but in the sequel, Scott Derrickson is keen to introduce Nightmare and the Nightmare Realm. Also, it'll be interesting to see whether we'll be getting a World War Hulk film down the line. Strange plays a massive hand in pissing off the Hulk, and he actually helps send him away in order to keep the world safe. Seems as that is now something he considers his job, maybe we will see some variation on the time he helped shoot Hulk into space, even though the Hulk is already in space. Maybe he goes to space twice. Okay, before we give some stuff away, I gotta mention the sponsor of this video, Squarespace. That's how it works. You can't take the money and then not say anything. Anyways, when you sign up for Squarespace, you get a custom URL in addition to a collection of amazing and easy to use templates. And I say easy to use, but even if you're like, this is hard, I don't get it. Well, luckily there's 24/7 customer support available, which is a fantastic service they provide. Now you can start your free trial at squarespace.com/Mr. Sunday Movies and enter the offer code SUNDAY for 10% off. That's 10%. With a T! Okay, let's give away a loot crate. If you're this person, just private message me these details on my channel and it's all yours. And if you want to win next week's box, just leave any comment below. Could be on your favorite Easter egg reference or cameo, what you want to see in the next Doctor Strange movie, or even something of significance that I've missed. Also, if you're keen, this Monday on my podcast, The Weekly Planet, we're doing a spoiler-heavy look at Doctor Strange and how it compares to other stories in the MCU. That's linked below, along with a bunch of other crap. Patreon, t-shirts, some videos you might want to watch. Actually, you can click those there. Even if you're on mobile, they work. I don't know how. But thanks for watching this. I appreciate it. Take care.